Afternoon. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you, bishops, for hosting this incredible weekend. It's been a real pleasure to hear from these speakers, Rick Hansen last night, and to meet such incredible people here from all these universities, so thank you. What can I do? I titled my talk, What Can I Do? Because I really believe that in the face of injustice, pain, suffering, or really anything that is just morally wrong, that human beings have a tendency to ask themselves that question. Now, you may be thinking, well, if we all really asked ourselves that question, wouldn't the world just be a perfect or pretty darn near perfect place? And I want to just run through a little scenario and show you why, even though the world's not perfect, I still think that we innately ask ourselves the question. So I'm going to need your help. I need a couple of names. So just throw out some random names. If you can't think of a random name, just shout out your own name. Justin. Well, Tabia. Right? Justin and Tabia. All right. And now I need some sort of a tragedy or a natural disaster. Oh, awesome. No, wait, hurricanes aren't awesome, but that's perfect. Okay. All right, so we got Justin and we got Tabia. All right, I'm going to be Justin first, all right? Oh, there's a hurricane and people are suffering? What can I do? Oh, there's a hurricane. People are suffering? What can I do? You see, they both asked the same question. They both said the same words, but the first person had their head looking forward, their eyes open, looking for an answer. The second person, Tabia, shrugged her shoulders, turned her eyes away, and had already answered that question, what can I do, with the response, nothing. And we're going to look tonight, or this afternoon, a little bit about that kind of dilemma or that dichotomy between those two people, Justin and Tabia. And we're also going to look at a few change makers that I've had the privilege of witnessing in Antigonish and at St.FX. And I'm going to share with you a brief story about how my life was transformed by a change maker. And overall, I really hope that we are going to uncover some new ways for all of us to become even greater change makers than we already are. So first I want to talk about the Coady International Institute at St.FX. Now, Dr. Cash just spoke a little bit about that. But for those of you who aren't familiar, or those who might be watching in the video, the Coady International Institute, basically, in a nutshell, takes leaders, community leaders from around the world, and they come to St.FX to study and how they can improve their community all around them. And what I'm particularly interested in the Coady is their asset-based community development model, and ABCD. And so what that is they look at the people, the community, the resources that exist already there, and they look at all those as an asset and how they can use those assets to make the community a better place. And I think that we can model, or we can use the ABCD model for ourselves to improve our own communities around us. The second group that I want to hold that in mind, the ABCD model, it's going to come in. You're going to be using it. The second group I want to talk about of change makers is an organization called SAFE, S-A-F-E, Syria-Antigonish Families Embrace. And SAFE was started by a few people who, during the height of the media attention of the Syrian war, and when the refugee crisis was really becoming apparent and was in the news a lot, these people got together, driven by that question, what can I do? And they sat around a kitchen table and they decided together that they could do something. And they were going to bring one Syrian family to Antigonish. That was in May of 2015. By September of 2015, they had already raised enough money to bring 2 families. And I was just blown away. How could this town of 4,000 people have already done so much? It was pretty incredible to me. But it turns out that Nova Scotia and Antigonish particularly have been doing this for a long time. And in their history, they've imprinted this notion that they can do something, that they can make a difference. And that's one of their biggest assets, is that belief that they can do something. Their other asset is their ability to care. And they really do, and they use it so well altogether. And so that's what makes Antigonish such a unique and special town. And like Antigonish, I believe that each and every one of you has your own set of unique assets. And you've acquired these along your journey in life. And you have got those from people you've met, from things you've been involved in. And none of us have gotten here, right, by ourselves. So you've all had people, resources, knowledge, and skills acquired to get here. And those are what make you unique and special. And I want to explore your own assets that you have in two ways. The first way, I'm sure you've already done. You've probably looked at the world, right? You've looked at some things that you think need to be changed. Then you've thought, okay, I'm this person, I have these things, and I could probably do that. That's looking forward, looking to create change. The second way in which I want us now to look at our assets, maybe perhaps you haven't, is to look at where they came from. Look into your past. How did you acquire these assets? Who was there? What were you involved in? And how did they come to be? And then reach back out into your communities today and share those assets that you have with the youth of today. Because the youth of today are the change makers of tomorrow. Excuse me. This is mine. I specifically asked for it. And I think, or I believe, that those assets make you special and unique. For me, you've all been involved in lots of things, like I said, to get here, right? And I was privileged enough to be involved in sports and clubs and things like that. And they were all made possible by volunteers and people who recognized that they had something to give, and they just went out there and they did it. So I want us to look at our own lives and our own communities and go back into the community and work with the youth in terms of anything from outdoor activities for you, scouts. Someone mentioned that earlier, but sports, arts, drama, theater, science camps. Anything in which a child has the opportunity to be sharing in their passion. And if you can be involved in that, then you can help to empower them to believe that they can do something. You can help to empower them so that one day they will be change makers. So you might be asking, okay, so for me, I get to do it through coaching. And I've been privileged to coach 5 basketball teams in the past 4 years. And every year I get the opportunity to hear from parents and the kids themselves just how big of a deal it is for those kids to be a part of that team. They get to, put on their jersey. They get to meet new people. They get to travel around a province, and they get to play the game. They get to realize that they can improve other people, and it's really special. And for me, all I'm doing is just sharing these assets that I already have, these skills that I've learned from other people along the way. But for them, they're developing the confidence to believe that they can do something, right? And being able to do something is the gateway for someone to be a change maker, because that's really all a change maker is, somebody who believes that they can do something. And if you're able to go out there and do that now, don't wait till later. If you're able to go do that now and for the rest of your life, that just might be the difference that'll turn someone from what were our names again? We had a Justin and we had Tabitha, right? So that might be the difference to change someone from a Tabitha to a Justin, from someone who says, what can I do, to someone who says, what can I do? I'm going to share with you, I'm just going to read you something, and then I'm going to tell you a story, and it's going to come together. This was written by one of my basketball players, and his mother printed it off and gave it to me just last week. For me, my role model is my basketball coach. His name is Kristian Rasenberg. He and his brother were 2 of the best basketball coaches that I ever had. He's a student at St.FX, but he still finds time to coach us. I'll just skip down to the bottom. The reason he's my role model is because I want to be like him, always being positive and trying to make a difference in his community, always looking out for others and showing dedication to his team. He is someone that I can trust. Samuel Colton, grade 8. Now, I know, sweet, right? Now, when I first arrived to St.FX, I went there and I played basketball for a year, and I did not care about my community. I didn't care about other people. I wasn't someone that you could probably trust. And I played this basketball. See, I wasn't the person that Sam knew. All right, I wasn't that person that Sam had got the chance to know. But when I played basketball, I kind of got in the wrong crowd, and in my whole first year, I was abusing drugs and alcohol. And my summer continued down that path. And into my second year, things didn't improve. In fact, they got worse. I quit the basketball team. Really the only thing other than myself that I cared about, I lost. I remember I got more doing drugs, and it was really bad. I remember going home at Christmas time, and my parents were so concerned. They just thought I was so sick. They didn't understand, or they didn't know that the tobacco that I was mixing in with my weed was taking away my hunger. They didn't know that the cocaine and other drugs that I was abusing was suppressing my appetite. They didn't know that I had begun to hate myself, and I had. I hated this part of me, and I tried to hide that from everybody else. But every time I looked in the mirror, that was the only part that I could see. And after a second year finished, I continued in the summer. Nothing really seemed to be changing. I was talking about dropping out. I had nothing going for me. I didn't know what I was going to do. And eventually I ended up taking a lifeguarding job that would transform my life. And it was at that job, I was working at a kayak camp, and I had the privilege of meeting this most important person to me, Samuel Colton, a young boy. And at this camp, he just kept coming up to me the first 2 days, like always talking to me, always bringing his lunch over to me, his snacks, and we'd chat all the time. He'd ask me all kinds of questions. How tall are you? Where are you from? Like, do you have a brother? Do you have a girlfriend? What's your favorite food? Do you like sports? And I told him that I'd played basketball. And he got really excited and told me that he was going to be playing basketball this year for the first time. And anyways, the next day, Sam came up to me before he left, and he gave me this little red spider right here. And he told me that I think that you would make a pretty good basketball coach. And to someone who didn't think a whole lot of themselves at the time, that little boy changed my whole life. And he doesn't know it. Excuse me. He doesn't know it, and I didn't know it at the time, but he would go on to be the greatest change maker in my own life. I would coach him for the next 4 years. And he didn't have to teach me how to be a basketball coach. All he did was simply remind me that I had acquired these assets and that I could share these assets with the community and with the youth of today. All of you have had help getting here. And all of you have acquired unique assets that make you special. And I think that is really important. I think that we need every single one of you unique people in this world today, especially in the face of greed and inequality, rising nationalism's on the rise, climate change. I think we really do need you. But more than just you, we need everybody to answer that question, what can I do, with a belief that they can do something. We need every single person today and tomorrow in the face of injustice to say, what can I do? And not, what can I do? Thank you.